We are so close, guys. Day 10 of Eagles training camp. We are 2 days away from a preseason game finally. And regarding the information on all of that going into Saturday's preseason game from Nick Sirianni and going over the whole day of the 10th day of Eagles training camp. So let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Well, we hit our 10th day of Eagles training camp and a lot to dive into here regarding our preseason game on Saturday. So we're going to a little bit of mix of both in this video as of right now. Now, Sirianni had his press conference before practice, talked about the preseason game, and says Sirianni won't say if starters are playing Saturday versus Ravens, but since Eagles are facing Browns and practice 2 days later, which is big for starters, Sirianni say it may affect this decision. Now, it's going to affect the decision. Monday, Tuesday, they're going to be practicing at 5 p.m., middle of the afternoon. So they're going to have a very late practice, 2 days straight against the Browns, which is going to be very interesting. So since this is happening early next week and they want to get these guys some rest before, Nick Sirianni values the training camp joint practices more than these preseason games. Preseason games are literally just an audition for all these players that might be getting looked at other teams. So are the starters really going to play? I think they might play even less than they did last year. I think they only played barely even a series and a half last year. Didn't really do too much and expect a lot less if the Eagles have joint practices early next week and could affect how many players are going to be playing. There's going to be a good amount of players in the rotation because not everybody could sit out, but, a lot more. We'll go more into that later on. Nick did talk about the Derek Barnett situation. It says Sirianni had said he loves Derek Barnett's competitiveness, but at any time, pick up personal foul is a good teaching lesson. You have to pay tough, nasty, aggressive, all those objectives while doing it legally, and said that he's going to take this as a teaching point for the team going into tonight or whatever talk they're going to have by today into tomorrow. I'm just going to say this because I think it's really important, okay? People were on me yesterday about this whole Derek Barnett situation as it was going on later on. We found out more information about there was a cheap shot by Landon Dickerson, okay? This is all about composure at the end of the day because if this is a game, this is costing us. Do you know how many times offensive linemen cheap shot? How many players cheap shot on each other during games, never caught by the refs? Players complain about it. This is... I understand it's training camp, but we're acting as if Derek Barnett has never done this before. Okay, he's done this plenty of times, and that's why I make a big deal about it because this is just what he does. Cheap shot or not, if this is a football game, it's costing us a drive. It's costing us getting off the field, on third down. And that's where the problem is going to consistently be where it is because I'm telling you, if he starts this, then people are going to look at me and say, you know what, Joe, you were right, because this was just a sign of what he was going to do this year. This is the last year of Derek Barnett's going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm praying. I have no interest in re-signing him. I was already thinking that last year was the worst move the Eagles made was sign Derek Barnett to a 2-year deal, which I don't know why. For depth purposes, because the Eagles couldn't go on the market and get a defensive end, so I totally understand. But consistently, this is what he's been doing. And if Sirianni takes these practices like they're games, and look, if it's during the whistle and he's pushing somebody, that's perfectly fine. If it's after the whistle and you just go up behind a player and hit him, it's a problem. It's a huge problem. I'm talking about after the whistle that he does stuff like this. Okay, if it's during a play and he's getting into an altercation, he still would get crap for it, but at least it wasn't late. I don't care who cheap shots you. You have to compose yourself as a football player and not be selfish and cause your defense and cause the guys that you're playing with to stay on for another few plays. It's just a drive killer. And Nick, I know, doesn't like this, and that's just the way it's been. So the people that have been saying that, I respect the opinions about everything that's been saying about me. I've had a thing versus Derek Barnett for a while. Okay, I had a thing versus Carson Wentz for a while, and people used to slam me for that too. Okay, and look where everything is now. So that's what I have to say about the whole Barnett situation. I mean, nothing by it in a negative way, but this is just who he is as a player. And I'm hoping to God it doesn't cost us, because that's all I got to say. Treating these like games, and that's really all we're really going there. Now, to go to the injury report for the Philadelphia Eagles today, we had Nakobe Dean was a full participant. Devin Allen is a full participant, is back, which is great. So Deion Kane still out with this ankle. I mean, how bad is this ankle injury? And obviously Patrick Johnson's out. So, so have a couple guys there. The list is very short. And yes, you want to keep these guys healthy for joint practices, which is going to be kind of crazy next week. I'm very excited for that. Now, Jalen Hurts had a really good day. Multiple things to talk about here with Jalen Hurts. Now, I think with Jalen Hurts and Alamadi Zaccheaus, a nice sideline catch and tight coverage. I think Zaccheaus and Jalen Hurts, and yes, I'm saying Alamadi Zaccheaus. Alameda Zaccheaus' name wrong every single time. But I think the chemistry is getting better between them two. And I've talked about the wide receiver 3 position. I've talked about they will use Quez. They will use Alameda Zaccheaus. They will use both of these players, and the Hurts connection is doing pretty good with that. Now, Hurts had an A.J. Brown back shoulder catch. Looks like the Hurts-A.J. Brown connection is just getting better by the day. He had another, throw to A.J. Brown on a cross touchdown, or Reed Blankenship in coverage. Hurts had pressure in his face. Goddard in the middle of the field, nice completion there, and had a couple more receptions as well. I think Goddard and Jalen Hurts have always had a really good connection with each other on the field, and the tight end position is definitely one I'm looking forward to with Jack Stahl, with Grant Calcaterra, which Grant Calcaterra is becoming one of my favorite backup tight ends as of right now, and very happy with that. So Hurts had a fantastic day for him, and can't wait to see more days. Can't wait to see him throw against another team, and very excited for it. And we might not see it Saturday now, so don't be disappointed if he's not going to be on the field. But I think when it comes to the wide receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles, we talked about Oz. But another guy that's been really making plays again is Joseph Ngata, the undrafted free agent the Eagles paid the most money to, $230,000, to really come in here and see what he could do as another big receiver for the Eagles. And I got to tell you, he was with first team today. They threw him with the first team to see what he could do, 7-on-7s, and he did a really good job. He caught a couple catches today, did a fantastic job. I think Ngata I think he's really pushing to get a roster spot this year. I really do. And I think there's a big chance that he will get it. He's been probably out of all the undrafted free agent wide receivers, he's been the most productive one out there. So can't really complain about that. He actually had separation in the end zone. Jalen Hurts actually overthrew a pass to him. He had great separation, overthrew a pass, and couldn't get him in the end zone. So, there's opportunity there, but the guy's getting separation, which, the only thing I have issue with Ngata is really his getting separation, but his contested catching is very good. His speed is not fantastic. Hopefully he's gotten a little bit faster this year going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and, see what he could do. So the more receivers the more hard decisions the Eagles have to make, the better it's going to be. And Joseph Ngata is really contending for a wide receiver spot. I'm very excited for him going down the line. I mean, even Johnny King's another one that's been on third team offense, but still has caught a few catches already. He's more of the bigger receiver. Not bigger, I mean, he's just tall, and he's got some speed at 4.4 for his size. Is pretty damn good. Most likely will probably be a practice squad player, but would like to see him in preseason to see what he could do. So very excited for him. Rashad Penny's another one where, he cannot wait to play football. He's already said, I haven't played since October, since the 5th week of last season. He feels fresh. He feels ready to go. He really wants to play on Saturday, which I think he will. You can't keep all your running backs out. I mean, I know Kennedy Brooks will get in there, Trey Sermon will get in there, but they're going to have to play somebody. So maybe they'll see a little bit of Rashad Penny in the game. We'll see how the depth chart looks going into that game of who's going to be playing, and we'll find out. That's the most exciting part about getting into a preseason game. So Rashad Penny is very excited for it. Now, the linebacker position, when you talk about this defense, obviously the Eagles have been switching linebackers nonstop. Miles Jack the past couple of days has been starting, but Nakobe Dean hasn't really been playing, but now is a full participant. So it was Nakobe Dean and it was Nicholas Morrow, but later on, Nicholas Morrow was taken out of the first team not too long. He was with the first team for a little bit, and not too long after that, Christian Ellis got first team reps next to Nakobe Dean. So they're swapping linebackers around like crazy, and that's why I like what Sean Desai is doing to find out the strengths and weaknesses of all these players, to get the best out of your players so you don't put them in a bad position, so you don't put them, and really fail them as players, putting them in an impossible situation that's not going to fit their skill set. I think that's a really good thing too. So, Nakobe Dean was obviously the starting middle linebacker, fully back, and, he's starting this year, so there's no doubt about that going forward. Jalen Carter played with the first team defense and still, second day with the first team defense, which is great, or a few days at least. And showing how dominant he is and how powerful he is and how guards have to really game plan him because he could take on double teams. He's got really good technique, and he plays with a mean edge, which I love that he's doing this in training camp, and is already starting on that first team defense, playing next to his mentor, Jordan Davis. Can't wait for that. He went to third team as well, got a few pressures getting to the quarterback a little bit, so he was pushing guards back like it was no problem today. Jalen Carter is really imprinting his name on this team right now, and I just want the regular season to get here. I want to see what else he could do, so very excited about that. Now, Josh Jobe, my God, he had 3 to 4. He had 4 deflections today. He's been taking over a little bit. Bradbury came back, played a little bit. So Slay, they gave some rest, the past couple days to some of the veterans. And Josh Jobe is just making a case to be the backup outside cornerback as of right now. Josh Jobe, apparently, from one of the players that said today that he's a lot better mentally when it comes to the playbook. And I think that's been like the biggest problem with him. I think a lot of players, James Bradbury said he has all the tangibles, of his play, athleticism, versatility. But when it comes down to the mentality, mentally with the playbook and just getting better at the speed of the NFL, Josh Jobe has been doing a fantastic job. Like I said, making his case to be the backup outside cornerback. And, sometimes these guys are just getting better. We're starting to see that. We're starting to get some depth here at this corner position. We talked about Mekhi Garner, another cornerback that's versatility, that's been flying around the field, making tackles, being one of the most physical corners that we have going into camp. And Keely Ringo's had some tight coverages as well and has been doing a good job. So as a whole, besides the starters, I think cornerback has been looking really good and definitely want to see more going forward, which I really do like. Brandon Graham, went around Tyler Steen on a swim move today, got to Mariota before he dumped the pass off. And, this is a year, a couple years out from when he had the Achilles injury. And I got to say, as much as, in Brandon Graham's career of being a late bloomer to the NFL and, may not have last year was the first time really where he really had great numbers. He's always been undermined because of the pressures on, because he would lead the league almost in pressures or be top 5, top 3 in pressures for so many years. But getting double-digit sacks last year was just so fantastic. 4 players getting, double-digit sacks on this defensive line, and Brandon Graham, coming for another year with the Eagles and staying here and really never wanted to go anywhere else. And he is just hopefully going to have a fantastic year this year. And as a whole of this defensive line and how much depth we have right now, I think Brandon Graham is in the perfect spot in his career where the Eagles could fly high and try to get this thing done, getting our second Lombardi championship. And I think he's going to do really well. So very excited about Brandon Graham this year. We don't really talk enough about him because we already know he's good. We already know he's a great player and, hopefully has another big year this year. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Going into preseason on Saturday, and I don't know how much these guys are going to play now with the Browns coming in, or I think we're going to Cleveland. I don't know what's going on. I think we are going to Cleveland. I'm not sure, but I think that's the case right now. These practices are going to be late, and since we're having 2 practices Monday and Tuesday, there's probably going to be not enough room to really play so many guys on Saturday with 1 day of rest. So, I think they're going to want to not say they're not going to play everybody. There's going to be some players that they're going to need to go in there. I think one, and obviously, Nolan Smith is definitely one of those guys that really wants to get and play this weekend. He's like, he cannot play to go. You cannot wait to play on Saturday and get this thing going. Nolan Smith, really thought about his, when he was at Georgia, he got hurt second half of the season. He required surgery. He came back as soon as possible. He was cleared. He was lifting. He was going 100%. And that's the mentality he has. And he just wants to hit somebody. He wants to put these pads on and face somebody else in another jersey. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of Nolan Smith on Saturday. Like I said, they can't keep everybody out. So we're going to see some rotational guys, especially on the defensive line. I want to see what we have and see what these guys look like, because we don't see enough. Sometimes open practice and some of these practices that they record is just not enough for me at times. We just hear about it most of the time, but from what we're hearing with Nolan Smith, he's got a high motor, doesn't give up, and I think he's facing the best, tackles in the league when it comes to, Mulata and facing Lane Johnson, but not even that, being an off-the-ball linebacker as well. These other defensive ends like Josh Sweat, they're trying everybody on off the ball. Doesn't mean that that's their strength, but Desai is testing all of these players at the edge, because obviously you signed 2 guys at linebacker now, and it seems solidified, as of right now, it's looking pretty good, but you're going to want your defensive ends to go off the ball coverage and maybe do some different things. I think Nolan Smith is going to be heavily involved in that, and a lot of other players. I think Josh Sweat could do it as well, but you can't waste the athleticism of some players where you don't want them to be a pure edge rusher. And I think Nolan Smith is smart enough to play more than one position, where some of us are definitely selfish of the, he's a rookie, he's coming in, he should only play one position and just focus on that. I 100% get it. I absolutely get it. But sometimes, change is good. You know what I mean? The game is changing. We need these players to do more and no more in case there's injuries. Then you can move some guys around. I think that's what you could take advantage of. Obviously, with Nolan Smith just so psyched to be out there and do his thing. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. That was the 10th day of Eagles training camp. We'll have another video out tomorrow. It should be walkthrough tomorrow, so no camp. I mean, it's the day before a preseason game, so there's probably going to be a walkthrough tomorrow. And then, we'll go to Baltimore to face the Ravens. The Ravens have beat the Eagles 23 consecutive times in preseason games, I think. It's so ridiculous and stupid, but that's what I read the other day. So on the preseason game. So other than that, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about the 10th day of training camp. Obviously, with the health situation, obviously with the Derek Barnett situation, and like I've said, I'm not trying to be negative about it. I'm just being realistic about it. And this linebacker core is they're swapping guys out, swapping guys in. They're just seeing what they have right now, and hopefully see more on Saturday. Like I said, they can't rest a lot of people. We'll see some guys that were in the rotation defensively. So I'm excited to see some of the receivers and, obviously Ngata, and, even seeing Zacchaeus maybe Britton Covey, or maybe, I don't know, somebody, Devin Allen on special teams, all that great stuff. There's a lot to look forward to tomorrow. So we'll definitely have some videos out tomorrow before our first preseason game. Finally, they're watching the Eagles on TV now, which is good. So you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, shakes what up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.